learners. I am Dr. Tejasha Kalita, and today we are going to discuss about the third part of the unit, globalization. The two parts we have already been discussed, and in the first video we have discussed about the introduction of globalization, and in the second video we have discussed about the characteristics of globalization. This will be the third video, and here we are going to discuss about the utility of globalization. Now, so far as the utility of globalization is concerned, we can say that it has brought significant changes to the world, impacting various sectors such as trade, commerce, culture, and the environment. The utility of globalization can be understood through several key aspects that demonstrate its positive influence on international relations and development. One of the most evident benefits of globalization is the expansion of international trade and commerce. The interconnectedness of economies has facilitates the exchange of goods and services across borders, leading to increased economic growth and prosperity. Countries can now access a broader range of products at competitive prices, benefiting consumers and business alike. Multinational corporations have established operations in various regions, creating job opportunities and fostering economic development in both developing and developed nations of the world. Now, as a result, globalization has contributed to poverty reduction and improved living standards for millions of people around the world. Another key aspect of globalization is the advancement of technology and innovation. The rapid exchange of ideas and knowledge across the borders has accelerated technological process, leading to significant breakthrough in various fields such as medicine, communication, and transportation. Companies and research institutions collaborate globally to address pressing challenges, resulting in the development of new solutions that enhance productivity and efficiency. Now, widespread adoption of digital technologies such as the internet and mobile communication has further tried the way so that the people interact and conduct business, making the world more interconnected than ever before. Now, so far as the cultural exchange is concerned, we'll find that it is another important facet of globalization that has enriched societies worldwide. The increased flow of people, ideas, and media across borders has led to greater cultural awareness and appreciation. People are now exposed to the diverse traditions, cuisines, languages, and art forms, fostering a sense of global unity and understanding. The cultural exchange has also contributed to growth of creating industries such as music, film, and fashion, which have gained international popularity and influence. Now, again, if we see the different impacts on globalization to the world, we'll find that globalization has also played a very, very crucial and significant role in promoting international cooperation and diplomacy. As countries become more interconnected, they recognize the importance of working together to address global challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and terrorism. International organizations such as the United Nations and World Trade Organization facilitates dialogue and collaboration among nations, fostering peace and stability. The shared interest and interdependencies created by globalization encourage countries to engage in constructive partnership and negotiation. Furthermore, we can also say that so far as globalization is concerned, it has had a significant impact on education and skill development. Many students and professionals can now access educational opportunities from institutions around the world, enhancing their knowledge and expertise. So far as online learning platform is concerned, we'll find that online learning platform and international exchange programs provide individuals with the chance to broaden their perspective and acquire valuable skills that are very, very relevant in globalized job market. Now, despite its numerous advantages, globalization also presents challenges such as income inequality, environmental degradation, and cultural homogenization. However, With effective policies and responsible governance, these challenges can be addressed to maximize the benefits of globalization. In brief, it can also be said that the globalization has had a profound and positive impact on various aspects of life, including trade, commerce, culture, and international relations. Now, by fostering economic growth, technological advancement, cultural exchange, and global cooperation, globalization always tries to continue to shape the world in meaningful ways by contributing to overall development and progress. Now, if we see different utilities of globalization, we can say that it has certain important utility towards the development of the world. Here, we can point out some of the important points. First, international trade and commerce. One of the most significant benefits of globalization is its contribution to international trade and commerce. It facilitates the import and export of various goods, raw materials, and services across different countries. This process enables nations to access products that may not be available domestically, thus promoting economic interdependence and cooperation. So far as globalization is concerned, we can further say that globalization is something which has made it easier for countries to grant and take loans from each other, fostering mutual economic growth. Through these financial exchanges, countries can strengthen their economic and work collaboratively to address economic challenges. The expansion of trade agreements such as the North American Free Trade Agreement (NAFTA) and the European Union (EU) has further simplified cross-border transactions and reduced trade barriers. Moreover, we can also say that globalization is something which has provided opportunities for business to expand their markets beyond national borders, leading to increased revenues and job creation. Small and medium enterprises, SMEs, have particularly benefited from the ease of accessing international markets through e-commerce platforms and digital marketing. Number 2, enhance competitive and quality of goods. Now, whenever we are saying about globalization, we can see that globalization is something which has intensified competition in the market, which has led to an improvement in the quality of goods and services. As companies from different parts of the world compete to capture market share, they invest in advanced technology and innovation to produce high quality products. This competitive environment encourages business to adopt best practices and continuously improve their offerings. The development of science and technology here plays a very crucial and significant role. And why I'm saying it? It's because the development of science and technology plays a crucial role in this process, enabling manufacturers to create superior products that meet international standards. As for example, or as for instance, we can say that the automobile and electronics industries have seen significant improvement due to global competitions. Consumers benefit from a wider variety of choices at competitive prices, ensuring better value for money. Furthermore, it can also be said that so far as globalization is concerned, it has led to the establishment of international quality standards such as ISO certificates, which helps business ensure their products meet global expectations. Now, this standardization fosters consumer trust and enhances brand reputation in international markets. Number 3 is development of cultivation, transportation, and communication. Another important aspect of globalization is its role in developing agriculture, transportation, and communication. Now, global actions of the agricultural techniques and technologies has led to improved farming practices and increased agricultural productivity. Farmers can now access better seeds, fertilizers, and irrigation methods through global networks, leading to food security and higher yields. Transportation networks have expanded, making it easier to move goods and people across borders differently. The development of air, sea, and land transport infrastructure has reduced travel time and cost, facilitating international trade. Companies such as FedEx, DHL have revolutionized logistics, ensuring faster and more reliable delivery services across continent. Additionally, here we can also say that the advancements in communication technologies such as the internet and mobile connectivity have made it possible for business and individuals to interact seamlessly across the globe. Digital platforms like Zoom, Skype, and WhatsApp enable instant communication, breaking geographical barriers and fostering global collaboration. Number 4 is standardization of economic and labor regulations. The influence of globalization extends to economic and labor regulation. As countries engage in international trade and investment, they are often required to align their economic policies with global standards. This alignment ensures a level that is to play field for business and workers, promoting fair competition and ethical labor practices. Now, again, whenever we are focusing on globalization or we are giving more emphasis on globalization, we'll further see that globalization is something which has also led to the harmonization of taxation policies, making it easier for multinational corporations to operate in multiple countries without facing regulatory hurdles. For example, the Organizations for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) has introduced global tax standards to prevent tax evasion and ensure fair revenue distribution among countries. Such standardization fosters a more predictable and stable business environment, encouraging foreign direct investment (FDI). It also found to be help to protect workers' rights by implementing labor laws that prevent exploitation and ensure safe working conditions. The number 5 is environmental sustainability. Despite concern about the environmental degradation, globalization is something which has potential to contribute to environmental sustainability too. Why I am saying it, you can see it how globalization has also played an important role in the protection of environmental sustainability. By sharing knowledge, technologies, and best practices, countries can collaborate to address environmental challenges such as climate change, pollution, and resource depletion. Now, international agreement and cooperation can lead to the implementation of sustainable practices that protect the environment while supporting economic growth. Now, economic growth is very, very important, we know, but the main aim and main duty of the people is to protect the environment too. So, in this case, we find that globalization has an important role to play. Initiatives such as Paris Agreement aim to reduce carbon emissions and promote the use of renewable energy sources. Globalization enables the dissemination of green technologies and promote initiatives aimed at reducing carbon footprints and preserving natural resources. Companies are increasingly adopting corporate social responsibility (CSR) policies to align with global sustainability goals and reduce their environmental impact. Now, another point here that can be mentioned is cultural exchange and human development. Globalization plays a very significant role in fostering cultural exchange and human development. Through the sharing of cultural values, traditions, and knowledge, individuals from different backgrounds can gain a deeper understanding of each other. The cultural interaction promotes tolerance, inclusivity, and mutual respect among people from diverse communities. Now, whenever we are saying about globalization, we find that it is something which always allows for the dissemination of cultural expressions such as music, art, literature, and cuisines, enriching societies and broadening perspectives. Popular cultural phenomena such as K-pop and Hollywood movies have gained international recognition, creating a global cultural melting pot. Moreover, so far as globalization is concerned, we can also say that it facilitates access to education and healthcare, contributing to overall human development. International student exchange programs and online learning platforms provide opportunities for individuals to acquire knowledge and skill from prestigious institutions worldwide. Now, we have already said that there are certain challenges which are there for globalization. So obviously criticisms are there for globalization. In our previous lectures also, in our previous video also, we have mentioned some of the important criticisms of globalization. So here, because we are discussing about the utility of globalization, we have to discuss about the criticisms of globalization. So now we'll focus on some of the important criticisms of globalization. While globalization has numerous benefits, it is not without its criticism and challenges, which I have already mentioned you. Several concerns have been raised regarding its impact on different aspects of society and the economy. Here, number one can be mentioned that Western dominance and cultural influence. Globalization has been double-edged sword offering economic and technological advancement while simultaneously fostering significant cultural transportation. One of the most pervasive criticisms of globalization is that it disproportionately promotes Western culture and values, often the expense of local traditions and identities. As Western media, fashion and lifestyle choices permeate every corner of the globe, many fear that indigenous cultures and traditional ways of life are being overshadowed or even erased. The spread of Western culture through globalization is largely facilitated by powerful multinational corporations and media persons. Now, the widespread availability and consumption of Western fast food chains, clothing brands, and entertainment content have led to a significant shift in lifestyle and dietary habits in many regions. For instance, McDonald's, Starbucks, and Hollywood movies have become one of the important symbols of globalization and that transcends borders. The cultural shift has resulted in what critics call it cultural homogenization, where local customs and traditions are gradually replaced by a more uniform Western-centric way of life. Many developing countries struggle to preserve their unique cultural identities in the face of overwhelming Western influence. Traditional attire is often replaced by Western-style clothing, and indigenous music and art form struggle to compete with globally dominant pop culture's trend. This cultural shift have far-reaching implications leading to generational divides and loss of heritage that once defined local communities. Furthermore, the influence of Western ideas such as individualism and consumerization can conflict with the communal and collective values that are prevalent in many non-Western societies. And governments and cultural organizations in many developing countries have recognized the challenges posed by globalization and have taken steps to protect their cultural heritage. Efforts such as promoting traditional festivals, encouraging the use of indigenous languages, and investing in the local media production are all aimed at counterbalancing the influence of Western culture. However, the pervasive nature of globalization makes it difficult to insulate local culture from external influence. Number 2 is capitalism and economic disparities. Another major criticism of globalization is a deep influence that has been found because of capitalist principles, which critics argue disproportionately benefits wealthy nations and multinational corporations while exacerbating economic inequalities. As globalization has expanded, economic disparities between developed and developing nations have widened, with wealth becoming increasingly concentrated in the hands of a few. Globalization has facilitated the flow of capital goods and services across borders, enabling multinational corporations to establish operations and regions with lower production costs. While this has created job opportunities in many developing countries, it has also led to concern about exploitation. Labor-intensive industries often take advantages of cheap labor markets in developing nations, offering wages that are insufficient to meet basic living standards and subjecting workers to poor working conditions. Free trade agreement and open markets have allowed wealthier nations to dominate global economic systems, leaving poorer countries struggling to compete. Developing economics often lack the infrastructure and bargaining power needed to fully capitalize on globalization, making them vulnerable to economic dependency. As multinational corporations prioritize profit maximization, local industries in developing countries often found to be suffer from an inability to compete with large foreign competitors. Furthermore, it can also be said that so far as globalization is concerned, it has contributed to economic volatility and financial crisis. The interconnectedness of global markets means that economic downturns in one region can have ripple effects across the world. Now, developing nations are particularly susceptible to these shocks as their economics are often heavily reliant on foreign investment and export. When global demand decline or investment dries up, developing countries experience significant economic hardship. In response to these challenges, some developing countries have sought to implement policies that promote economic self-sufficiency and reduce dependence on foreign market. Strategies such as investing in domestic industries, supporting small and medium enterprises, and implementing protective trade policies have been used to counteract the negative effect of globalization. However, the measures can be difficult to sustain in an increasingly interconnected global economy. Another point is negative social and economic impact. The social and economic impact on globalization have sparkle widespread debate, with critics pointing to several negative consequences that have arises from the liberalization of trade and market. One of the most pressing concerns in the increased availability of harmful products such as weapons, alcohol, and tobacco. The ease of cross-border trade has allowed these products to flood market in developing countries, contributing to public health and safety challenges. Globalization has also led to a race to the bottom in terms of labor standards. In an effort to attract foreign investment, many developing countries have relaxed labor regulation, leading to exploitative practices such as child labor and substandard working conditions. Workers in the regions often lack access to basic labor rights, including fair wages, safe working environment, and job security. Additionally, the economic shift induced by globalization have resulted in job insecurity and job security for many vulnerable populations. As industries move to regions with lower labor costs, workers in both development and developing countries face the threat of job replacements. In developed nations, the outsourcing of manufacturing jobs to lower-cost regions has led to economic restructuring, with many workers finding themselves unemployed or forced to accept lower-paying service sector jobs. The rise of the gig economy has further exacerbated social inequalities. While globalization has enabled greater connectivity and access to employment opportunities, it has also contributed to the erosion of stable long-term employment relationships. Workers in many parts of the world now face uncertain future with limited access to social protections and benefits. Another point which can be mentioned here is the opposition from human rights and environmental groups. Human rights and environmental organizations have been vocal critics of globalization, arguing that it prioritizes economic growth at the expense of social and environmental concerns. The rapid expansion of industry and urbanization driven by globalization has led to significant environmental degradation, including deforestation, population, and the depletion of national resources. Industrialization in developing countries, often fueled by foreign investment, has contributed to environmental challenges such as air and water pollution, soil degradation, and loss of biodiversity. Many multinational corporations operate in regions with lax environmental regulations, taking advantage of weak enforcement mechanisms to maximize profits. This has led to the displacement of local communities, loss of traditional livelihood, and long-term environmental damages. Human rights organizations have also raised concern about the impact of globalization on vulnerable populations. Issues such as forced labor, human trafficking, and exploitation have been exacerbated by global demand for cheap goods and services. In many cases, workers in developing countries face many conditions with little resources for justice or support. In response to these challenges, this has been a growing push for corporate social responsibilities and sustainable business practices. Many organizations and groups are calling for stronger regulations and greater accountability for multinational corporations operating in developing countries. Now, it is also found that efforts such as fair trade certification, ethical sourcing initiatives, and environmental sustainability programs aim to address some of the negative consequences of globalization. Another point which can be mentioned here is the resistance from developing nations. Some developing countries have expressed strong resistance to globalization, arguing that the economic policies associated with it often favor developed nations and create dependencies that hinder self-sufficiency and long-term growth. Countries in regions such as South Africa, South America, Africa, and parts of Asia have voiced concern about the impact of globalization on their economic sovereignty and national development. One of the primary concerns is that globalization imposes economic models and policies that may not align with the unique needs and circumstances of developing countries. International financial institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank often promote structural adjustment and programs that require developing nations to implement austerity measures, privatize public services, and open their market to foreign competition. These policies can lead to economic instability, social unrest, and increased poverty levels. So far as developing nations are concerned, we'll find that they have also criticized the unequal power dynamics in global trade negotiations. Whenever wealthier countries often have greater influence in setting trade rules and standards, which can disadvantage developing economies. Efforts to establish more equitable trade agreements have been met with resistance, and developed nations always try to protect their own economic interests. So, in response to the challenges, some developing countries have pursued alternative models of development and prioritized local economic empowerment and regional corporations. Initiatives such as the BRICS Alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and regional economic blocs like African Continental Free Trade Area (AFCFTA) aim to create economic opportunities that are more aligned with the needs of developing nations. Ultimately, while globalization offers opportunities for economic growth and development, it also presents significant challenges that must be carefully managed. Developing countries must find ways to balance the benefit of globalization with the need to preserve their cultural identities, protect their economies, and ensure social and environmental sustainability. So, in the conclusion, we can say that so far as globalization is concerned, it presents both opportunities and challenges for the world. When implemented effectively and ethically, it can lead to economic growth, cultural exchange, and environmental sustainability. However, it is crucial to address the criticisms and potential drawbacks associated with globalization to ensure that its benefits are distributed equitably among all the nations and population. So this is in brief about the utility of globalization. So we have covered the introduction of globalization, the characteristics of globalization, and the utility of globalization as a whole. Now let us see the whole unit, what we have finally discussed. Now we'll just here discuss some of the important points of the unit. According to Anthony Giddens, globalization is something which wants to establish the social relationship among all the people of the world. The term globalization is particularly found to be associated with the economic matter of the world. One important meaning of globalization is the borderless world. International tourism has improved a lot because of the impact of globalization. Globalization is an international integration and coercive system. Globalization is a process which is done in international level to make a class and good economies economic, political and social, cultural relationship among the different countries of the world. Because of globalization, it becomes easy to overcome the geographical limitations of the world, and communication has become very easy among the country. Globalization has made the communication of the entire world very easy. The main aim of globalization is the development and growth. Globalization tries to make economic stability among the countries. If the whole world is to be united, then growth and potentiality should be considered to be the main purpose of the entire world. There are 4 views of globalization, namely realistic view, developmental view, liberal view and Marxist view. Globalization is helpful for international trade and commerce. Globalization has increased competition, and that is why the quantity of the goods has also increased. Globalization develops cultivation, transportation and communication. Globalization can help a lot so far as the mental and cultural development and growth of the people is concerned. Globalization is criticized to be idea of development and growth of Western culture and civilization. Many social scientists have criticized globalization to be a source of help for Western and capitalist countries. Free trade and free market can make the access of the goods like alcohol or wine very easy for the people of the country. So this is in brief about the globalization. I think we have discussed it in a very elaborative way and you have understood it properly. With the video, we'll also provide the learning material for this unit. So this is in brief about globalization, and thank you very much for watching it. Thank you.